And you're looking on the left part of your screen, the microphones there set up in Los Angeles. We're expecting to hear from the LAPD spokesman, Andy Nyman, who's going to be going to those microphones and updating us on what he can tell us. I'm sure there will be limits on what he can say. We are, Anderson, also being told that the two sheriff deputies who were wounded, injured, in this latest shootout within the past couple hours, allegedly with Christopher Dorner, have been airlifted to the Loma Linda Medical Center. This, according to the sheriff's spokeswoman, but we have no update on their condition. We just know that two more sheriff deputies have been injured, have been wounded in this gunfire exchange, allegedly with Christopher Dorner. And the initial report seems to indicate that they were actually separate. They weren't deputies who were together at the time. They were actually separate incidents, physically separate from each other, and that's when they were injured in this shootout. Again, you see authorities now walking toward the microphone, so we should be hearing very shortly the latest that they're at least willing to divulge. And we assume, Chris, they're going to also be answering reporters' questions. We'll hear what they have to say. It's interesting that this is the LAPD, but San Bernardino sheriffs, they're really 2 hours away, but obviously the LAPD has a huge interest since Christopher Dorner is a former LAPD.
Also, it's all family at this point. State, local, municipal, federal, everybody's working together. As Tom Fuentes, the former FBI guy, said to us early on, they are not used to dealing with somebody with this type of tactical know-how, certainly one of their own. He made a point to us that this type of domestic terrorism of cop on cop is almost unprecedented. So, of course, the authorities are taking this personally, and we'll see what they have to tell us. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Commander Andrew Smith. I'm the Commanding Officer, Media Relations and Community Affairs Group for the Los Angeles Police Department. This is our daily 3 o'clock press briefing. I have a very small amount of information I can provide to you from what's happening up in San Bernardino County right now. This information is from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office, so let me put a caveat on it that this is very early, very preliminary information. Today at about 12:22 p.m., San Bernardino sheriffs were in the hunt for Christopher Dorner up in the Big Bear area. They received a call of a stolen vehicle in the 1200 block of Club View Drive. When they responded there, they received information from the person reporting that this stolen vehicle was stolen by an individual that appeared to be very similar to Christopher Dorner. They immediately conducted a ground and an air search for this vehicle, and they were able to locate it at Highway 38 and Glass Road, where the suspect in the vehicle fled into the forest. Shortly thereafter, this individual barricaded themselves in one of the cabins there, and an exchange of gunfire occurred. During that exchange of gunfire, 2 officers were injured. They've been airlifted to a local hospital. Right now, their condition is unknown. The Los Angeles Police Department has sent resources out to the San Bernardino County Airport. Our resources are waiting there for authorization from the San Bernardino County Sheriffs to assist them. So this is a San Bernardino County Sheriff's investigation. This is their lead. They have the incident command out there. We are there to support them only if asked. That is as much as I have on that particular incident out there. A quick update on how the search is going from the JRIC and our side. Right now we have 1,045 clues that our officers are working on. They're following up on all those clues. Obviously some of them are panning out, obviously some of them are dead ends, but we're continuing to do this search and continuing to work our clues while the events up in the San Bernardino Mountains unfold. I'll take a couple quick questions, but again, my information is very sketchy. Well, we're not positive, and until we get this guy in custody, until he's in handcuffs and in a jail, we're not going to know for sure. They said he was similar in appearance. He was up in that area at one time, so you know, the likelihood is that it's him, but we can't say for sure.
Commander, we're hearing reports that he pulled himself up in the cabin, held a couple hostage for several days. Can you confirm any of that?
I can't confirm the hostage part. I've heard that obviously through media sources. We were listening to the scanner and getting much of our information from the San Bernardino County Sheriffs. I can't confirm that anybody was held hostage at this time. That's part of the San Bernardino side of the investigation, and that has not been confirmed yet.
Commander, what kind of resources are we talking about? SWAT? Do you have SWAT officers going up there?
I can't give you specifics about what resources we have up there. We believe this individual may be watching TV or may have some access to media, so I don't want to tip our hand as to what we're sending out there. To that end, we've also asked the media that have airships in the area to not have your air units show any live broadcasting close-ups of what our SWAT officers, what the San Bernardino SWAT officers are doing up in that area. The reason for that is obviously it'll put our officers at an extreme tactical disadvantage if the suspect knows what our folks are doing.
At what point was the exchange of gunfire with the California Fish and Game Ward? At what point?
I don't know what the involvement of the California Fish and Game was at this time. My understanding it's San Bernardino County Sheriff's. That's from their press office, but I don't have an update from the California Fish and Game. I don't know what their involvement is at this time.
He's eluded officers now for 5 days. This has been a huge manhunt. It sounds like this is him. Can you talk about the sentiment, the feeling among you officers now that it looks like he may be caught?
Well, everyone is very hopeful that this thing ends without any further bloodshed. We hope we can take this guy into custody, and we hope that he doesn't hurt anybody else. We hope none of these officers was seriously injured, which we don't know at this point. The best thing for him now would be to surrender and allow us to take him into custody, and he can face the criminal justice system. There's a tremendous sense of apprehension among our officers here, concern about the officers that are up there, and until this guy's in handcuffs and until he's in custody, none of the people on our department are going to rest.
What about your manpower? You said you guys were waiting. What kind of resources did you send up there?
I can't give the specifics of what resources we sent. We did send some resources. They're waiting at the airport in San Bernardino now, and we're waiting to be called in by the incident commander if we're needed. Right now, we haven't been needed. And by the way, that people have been asking if the chief of police has gone out there. Chief Beck has not responded out there. He's still here.
What kind of vehicle did he see?
I don't have information about the vehicle that this suspect allegedly took. I've seen some videotape from the media members on that vehicle. I don't have the information about what that vehicle was.
Commander, if he is watching this, what message do you have for him right now?
If he's watching this, a message for himself is enough is enough. It's time to turn yourself in. It's time to stop the bloodshed. It's time to let this event and let this incident be over.
And Commander, your first priority is to take him alive and put him under arrest.
Well, obviously our first priority is the safety of the community around there. So I'm sure the San Bernardino sheriffs are evacuating people in that area and making sure that all the citizens there are safe and that area is locked down. Once that area is locked down and all the citizens in that area are safe, then we'll let the San Bernardino SWAT team go in there and do what they do best, which is to get this guy hopefully in custody, hopefully without any further bloodshed. One more question and I have to go.
You're having right now with San Bernardino Sheriff, as all of this is playing out, are you guys actively talking, or do you have to kind of wait till it dies down before you can get more information?
A couple of things on that. San Bernardino County Sheriffs are in our JRIC, so they're embedded with the team of officers that are all working together to solve this thing, and they've been there since the beginning. We also sent one of our assistant chiefs out there to San Bernardino. He's in their command post. So we're getting real-time updates from them to our command, so we know what's going on up there. Probably a very good exchange of information. So we work really well with our law enforcement partners throughout Southern California. Okay?
What kind of weapons did you have?
I don't know what the weapons that he had. I know he had reports of all different kinds of weapons. I'm not sure what he was using up there in this exchange of gunfire. That's all we have time for right now. I'll be back out again. If anything big breaks on this, we'll be back out again, and we'll give you a further update. And our update will be right here, so this will be the place to be. I have a Spanish speaker here who can answer any Spanish media questions for you, and I'll turn it over to Captain Rigo Romero.
All right, so there you have it. The latest from the commander, the spokesman for the LAPD, Andrew Smith, telling us they are not positive, although they believe it is likely that Christopher Dorner is in this barricaded cabin there in Bear Mountain outside of Los Angeles, about a 2-hour drive. They cannot confirm that there are hostages. They say they don't know whether or not there are hostages. The suspect may be watching TV. As a result, they've asked the media to avoid any live broadcasts from the area, broadcasts that potentially could help the suspect in this particular case. And they say, Andrew Smith, the LAPD commander, said, enough is enough. Give yourself up if you are watching TV. Enough is enough. Face the justice system right now. Anderson is here. Chris Cuomo is here. Anderson, this is a very delicate situation because I suspect they really don't know if there are hostages inside.
Yeah, it seems like this cabin is really the second cabin that Christopher Dorner has been in. LA Times is reporting that for days now he has been in another cabin with, and he held a couple hostage inside that cabin. That's where he's sort of been waiting it out. As you know, there's been sort of radio silence on his end, no activity that authorities were aware of. This is the first time he's been spotted, really, I think now in 2 days, maybe even 3 days. And it seems like this is another cabin he's gone to. LA Times is also reporting, according to just one source, he fired at a sheriff's deputy from inside the cabin, then tried to leave through the back of the cabin, set off a smoke bomb, opened up fire, shot another sheriff's deputy there, and was driven back inside the cabin.
There's good news and bad news in this situation as it develops. The good news is there are a lot of assets on the ground. Local, state, and federal officials are working together. They have resources to deal with him being alone or with someone else. The bad news is, of course, there is unknown, and we do know there's already been a lot of gunfire today. Earlier, we heard a report from a local reporter on KCBS who was very close to the scene before all the authorities were there, when he was being chased because of a stolen vehicle. And this is what we heard in the background. Take a listen. Now, what that tells us, obviously, a lot of gunfire over an extended period. We know that the suspect is suspected to have 30 weapons. We know he's trained. We believe this would have been the gunfire volley that led to the two deputies being injured and now being medevaced for emergency medical services. And that is what took us up to this point, where now the suspect is inside, but we don't know if he's alone. There are varied reports that we're hearing about how this happened, but we just really don't know. And we have to take the fact that the authorities are being very cautious to mean that they may suspect there is more potential life at risk.
It sounded like a war that was going on, that gun battle that we just heard.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of Connecticut activity. You could actually hear one person yelling to the reporter, "Get the F out of here," and the reporter, apparently his local station, tried to then make contact with him, wasn't able to make contact with him, but later found out he's doing fine. His name is Carter Evans, local reporter there for the CBS affiliate. Let's check in with our Casey Wyans, who is standing by. Casey, in terms of where this thing stands now, just for folks who are just joining us, watching us around the world and here in the United States, can you just kind of give a sense of what we've heard from that press conference, what we know and what we don't know?
Well, Anderson, the way it started was this afternoon about 12:30 local time, 3:30 Eastern. There was a report of a stolen vehicle near the Big Bear ski lift areas, near the resort areas. We don't know exactly how close to the resorts that vehicle was stolen, but that vehicle was stolen right near the ski resorts. Deputies began a pursuit, also set up a roadblock because there were indications that this was someone who looked like Christopher Dorner. There was a shootout apparently at that roadblock. The vehicle was spotted at a place called Glass Road and Highway 38, 27 miles away from where that vehicle was reported stolen. 27 miles around the mountain and down the hill toward the more populated area of Southern California. Dorner then got apparently into another shootout and then escaped into this cabin where there are reports he may or may not have hostages. The LA Times reporting that there were hostages in a cabin that he was holed up in over the past several days. What is clear, though, is that he was trying to escape, trying to get down that mountain, and law enforcement officers have been able to stop him from at least doing that. But right now, holed up inside a cabin, very dangerous situation, Anderson.
Yeah, you know, we've actually just been given a report from the LA Times in which a woman named Candy Martin has identified a vacation cabin that from the television that's been surrounded by police. She called the authorities to let them know that that cabin is just one in a cluster of 7 cabins that she owns along Route 38 near the community of Seven Oaks, which, again, the cases you just said, that's Route 38, Highway 38 and Glass Road. That's where that shootout occurred in the stolen vehicle. This woman, Candy Martin, has told police that the cabins actually are supposed to be empty on Monday, had no cable, no phone, and no internet service, which is obviously significant because authorities would obviously be concerned about his ability, Dorner's ability, to monitor what they are doing via television, via radio, or via the internet